Hi all, greetings from the apocalypse. So today I'm going to show you how to set up your own pitch bowl. So you probably remember from one of my other Chasing and Repousse videos, I showed you how we took just like a little metal salad bowl, we put Quikrete in there, and then we start adding pitch on top because you really just need, I don't know, maybe an inch on top and maybe a little poof in the middle, so that you can add things in and do all kinds of 3D shapes. But this is inexpensive and it works. But you probably also saw when I was working on my little, I guess these are big actually, beetle earrings, that when I'm in here and I'm smacking on this bowl is not really heavy enough. It kind of moves around a lot. So truthfully, although that's good, if you're just gonna do something like once in a while and you're looking for a more inexpensive option, you can just do that. But I'm going to show you what I really like, which are these cast iron bowls. They're quite heavy, which is really what you want in a bowl ideally, because when you hit and you're doing your thing, you don't want the bowl to move. It's just like being able to use like an engraving bowl when you're setting. You want something heavy enough that's kind of solid and sits there and behaves itself while you're doing whatever shenanigans you're doing. So now the size and shape, there's a few different ones. There's basically a little one like this, which is a 5-inch. And this is great for doing relatively small stuff, pendants and earrings and all that kind of shenanigans. What I decided to do is I got the 7-inch one, 7-inch wide right here, because I can do earrings, I can do pendants, but this is also big enough if I wanted to put, like a 6-inch cuff bracelet down in here and, do my thing. I have room to do it. It's also deep enough that I can take it and tilt it, to get into the sides and all that kind of thing. So for me, I think this is sort of like the Goldilocks bowl, you know what I mean? It's big enough so that pretty much anything that I want to do, this is gonna cover it. They also make even bigger, wider, more shallow ones that you can get. For me, that's really more for like people who are doing like a big plaque or something. But if I was gonna do that, I would just put a little bit of pitch on a wood board, you know what I'm saying? And that would be way less expensive and less trouble to set up. For me, I don't think that makes sense, but everybody does different kind of work and they have different things that they think makes more sense and whatever. But so for me, I think the most practical for most studios is this, because this is probably gonna cover anything you'll ever make. Now you may notice that I look like I'm doing something super weird in here. I've got a bunch of nails, and I also have some old hammerheads that are like broken, or these are like cheap hardware store hammers, not like beautiful hammerheads that I would actually get a new handle for. We got some broken ones and rusty ones, and like I said, these are ones that like I'm not going to, refine and put a new handle on. Now, why am I putting all this junk metal in here? So first of all, you don't need to, when you take a pitch bowl, just like I showed you with the Quikrete, you don't need pitch all the way to the bottom. You are never going to be using the pitch that's all the way down in here. You're never getting that deep. So you really only need it on the top. And also, like I was saying before, heavy is to your advantage. The heavier this thing is, the more it's going to sit there and behave itself. I mean, not as much fun to pick up and move around, don't get me wrong, but we just call that like studio bodybuilding. So, but it's good for this to be heavy. So normally that's what you do as a way to not necessarily waste a whole bunch of pitch that you don't need, and to also serve as ballast so your bowl's a little heavier. You can put any kind of, like I said, you can, if you have like some, Quikrete at home, you can mix that up and put it in there. You can put a bunch of old nails in there. You can put old hammerheads. Don't necessarily go out and buy a bunch of nails to put in there. Usually most people have something laying around that you're like, oh, let me put that in there. So that's the kind of thing. If you don't have anything, you don't have to put anything in there, but I think it's kind of a practical way to get a nice heavy bowl and also just not use as much pitch. So what I have, I don't anticipate working on like super deep things. So I've got this filled up. So I've probably got about a good 1.5 inch space inside the bowl, and then I'll also kind of mound the pitch up on top. And for me, that's gonna be plenty. Now, another thing to consider, if you saw me doing, melting a little bit of pitch with the hot air gun, it is slow, it is painful. Now, in the studio, I don't really have a regular oven. At home, you have a regular oven. So if you have a bowl like that you're gonna set up, you can set it up in your oven way easier. Where, not with the rubber donut on the bottom. By the way, don't put that in the oven. But you can put whatever like steel you're gonna do in there. You can put your pitch in there, and you can put it in your oven at like a low temperature, maybe like 325. Put a baking sheet underneath it with some foil on it, because in case a little bit of pitch, you know, falls, you don't want that like sticking and burning in your oven. So what you would do is you'd put that in your oven at like, I think 300, 325 for like a couple hours. Turn the oven off, crack the oven door, and just leave it in there till it's pretty much cool and take it out. Because what I don't want you to do is put this in the oven, leave it for a couple hours, and then go in there with the oven mitts, and if like, you know, it tilts, if any of it were to splash on you, it will burn like a motherfucker. It's like no joke. Do you know what I mean? Or if like somehow you splashed it into your eyes or anything, I mean, it could actually be quite serious. So don't use the oven if you're impatient and you're gonna pull it out right away. Let it cool, let it become solid so that you can take it out safely, okay? Promise me that you'll do that, because if I hear about anybody burning themselves, I will be very, very cross. Now, in the studio, sadly, I don't have like a regular oven. I could go take this home and do it, but this is so heavy to schlep that I'm like, meh, not gonna do that. So I'm either gonna use the hot air gun, or I might like put our big kiln on in the back and just sit this on top for an hour, kind of a thing, to kind of, you know, if you're not cheating, you're not trying hard enough, just to speed up the process a little bit. But the next thing that I have to do before I do that is I've got to break all my pitch up, because right now it comes in like a big sort of cake tin, and I've got to break that up into little pieces. So here's our German red pitch. This is so far our favorite, but we're still experimenting, so I'll get back to you on that. We've also used the California pitch, which they call it red, but it's really more chocolatey color, which is the stuff we've been using here. I did notice though, when the studio's cold, it definitely chips more. You know, everybody has their favorites according to what they do and whatever, but so far I think the German red is our top pick. I'll get back to you at the end with our, you know, final decisions. But you see, it comes in this big thing like this. Now, you cannot take this giant thing of pitch and like put it on top of there. We need to break it up into little pieces. But here's the thing, when you break this apart, it'll shatter. Those little pieces will go straight into your eyeballs or whatever, and also make an enormous mess in your studio, which you don't want. So normally what you want to do is you want to take something like a big old beach towel, something that you're willing to destroy, and really wrap this up in it and then smash it to bits with a hammer. Now, last time I did it, I put it in like a couple of paper bags and some plastic bags and like a dish towel, and I thought like, oh, I've got this like so covered, and like whack whack, and you know, it goes through the fabric quite easily and quickly. So wrap it like way more than you think you have to. Wrap it up. What I have is I asked my friend Ellen, that I stay with when I'm in the city, and I said, what have you got that, you know, you're willing to let me destroy? And she's got an old like comforter cover that was like the wrong size or something, and she's like, take it, destroy it, I don't care. So that's what I'm gonna do, is I'm gonna take this, I'm gonna roll it up in there so that it's really secure, and then we're gonna smash away with a hammer, which is a good way to channel your feelings.